Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining in. And welcome to nowGurukul ServiceNow Virtual Meetup number 22. Heartful welcome to our keynote speakers today, Andrew Robinson and Harry Hatanto. Thank you so much for joining in. Hope you both are doing good.
Yeah, not doing too bad. Nice to be here.
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, guys. We will start with the meetup, and before we start, I would just like to set up some ground rules here. So, ladies and gentlemen, we all are joining around the globe from different cultures. So, make sure we all are respectful to each other. Make sure you use the chat option actively if you have any questions for our speakers out there. If possible, come out the videos because that's the whole motive of this meetup to engage and network more. Keep your videos on, use chat actively, and if stay on mute if you're not speaking on the stage. If you want to speak something, ask something, you can raise your hand. I will give you the right opportunity out there. So here is a quick agenda for us. I will be giving a quick introduction of who we are, what we do, and then we will be going to have a first keynote session with Robinson on AI agents, and then we'll speak to Harry Hatanto on Build Agent. It is going to be an exciting next few minutes, and I hope we will make your Sunday worthy for sure. And then we'll have a Q&A session as well where you can ask your questions to the audience. You can ask your questions meanwhile when we are speaking in the chat as well. We'll keep talking around it, right? All right, so we are now Gurukul. What we are do is we are a non-profitable group, okay, where we try to meet great people. We will try to learn from each other experiences. We do certain type of activities like this meetup. We are connected over LinkedIn, WhatsApp, and we make sure that every week we are trying to make ourselves better by helping each other without any personal agenda out there. So uh, if you're not a part of our social media, do get in touch with me. I will add you in the relevant platforms. Hey Amit, thank you for the hello in the chat. Good morning. So we are not restricted to any geography. We tend to connect with everybody around the globe. We would love to know you more, your experiences, what you do in your professional and personal life, and how you are making the world better with ServiceNow. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this note, it is time to introduce our first keynote speaker. We are thrilled to host a Senior ServiceNow Professional who is ServiceNow Community MVP 2025 and 26, Rising Star 2024, SNUG Committee Member, co-host of Coffee, Config, and Chaos. With the journey that started in customer service and evolved into platform engineering, our speaker brings a refreshing people-first perspective to ServiceNow, AI automation, and digital transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, with that note, welcome on the stage, Andrew Robinson. Thank you, Andrew, for being here today.
Yeah, not a problem. It's great to be here.
How's the morning treating you?
Oh, it's not too bad. It's 7 a.m. over here. So, yeah, I think I'm on about 2 coffees.
Hope you had a good coffee. So thank you so much. And thank you for being here in your Sunday morning. Really appreciate that. It will add a lot of value to the people. So, Andrew, before we start talking about AI agents, right? So one thing that highlight in your career journey is that you started as a customer service and you led you all the way to becoming 2x ServiceNow MVP. What was the turning point in your life you made that, okay, ServiceNow is something I want to go behind, and I want to build my career in ServiceNow, and there's a lot of tax in your background which shows your passion, your enthusiasm towards the things.
To be honest, I don't really think there was sort of like a lightning bolt moment where I thought, do you know what, this is something that I want to get into. So when I discovered ServiceNow, it was quickly apparent that it wasn't just another ticketing tool. And what really got me hooked was the variation. So you know what it's like. Like if you've ever worked in sort of like a service desk or customer service, you crave that variation, and not that monotony. And with ServiceNow, it was amazing because that's what I found, because I was constantly challenged on a day-to-day basis. Not every day is the same. You get that variation.
Yeah, good to know. Everything is new day in ServiceNow because you need to get up to speed to see what's new going on in the product, right? So,
Yeah,
Andrew,
exactly.
Yeah, I agree. So being in the ecosystem, Andrew, you have been recognized as a rising star and then MVP. What do you think how it differentiates an individual from a different community and why these titles are important or why the contribution is important in the community?
So I'd say contribution's important, especially with sharing. I mean, not the whole reason, but one of the reasons why I managed to attain the MVP status was essentially sharing. So sharing my experiences, sharing my ideas. What you think might not be interesting to you may be interesting to other people. If you've come across a problem that, let's say, for example, that you thought, oh, that was a dead simple fix, there's probably hundreds of people out there who are having the same issue. So it's always good to share on the community, and it's always good to share on the community and essentially just support one another. I mean, that's one of the amazing things about the ServiceNow community as a whole, is that everyone's so willing to share, everybody's so helpful. Um, I mean, yeah, it's probably one of the best sort of like ecosystems I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, I hope you get the next title also. Keep contributing, and people love your contribution on the community for sure. So you have taken an initiative of coffee, config, and chaos, and you have heard many stories from different professionals around the ecosystem. What is something that you have taken from all those sessions of yours? What is the career advice you want to give to ServiceNow practitioners? What we should not do in the early stages of our career, which can give us a multiple effect in the later stage of career?
Now, this is going to sound really cliche, but don't get complacent. Stay curious. The platform is ever changing. There's always something new. If you let's say you're a ServiceNow admin, developer, hell, even analyst, there's always something where you'll log in one day, you think that you know it, and then all of a sudden something will crop up and you think, oh, I didn't know it did that. So it's all about continuously learning, making sure that you are. I mean, I suppose it all boils down to passion. It's just making sure that if you really enjoy developing the system, you have a passion for it. That was one of the things that stood out amongst all the people that I've interviewed sort of like on the coffee config and chaos, is that everybody has everybody is very invested in the platform and its success, and essentially that's what drives everything forward.
Yeah, I agree with you. More than knowledge, passion is important. If you have the passion, you will get the knowledge for sure, right? So, Andy, your tagline says turning ideas into tangible solutions. Do you have something in mind where you say, okay, Eureka, I built something, or I was able to learn something new in my career of service now?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say that one of the newest things that I've had to learn, and I would say relatively new, sort of like over the past 6 months or so, was how to build agentic AI and AI agents. So one of the strangest things that we've built was an AI triage agent, which was a massive learning curve. So it's easy enough when you think, oh yeah, an incident comes in, it gets looked at by the agent, and then it'll then decide whether it's an incident or a request. Then it gets assigned off to, let's say, a team. However, there's so many moving parts in the background. So if you think of, let's say, a general service desk agent, they have that experience. They know for example, what's what, and it's all about, well, if you have an AI agent, that person or thing comes in completely fresh as let's say the equivalent of a new starter. So it was all about trying to make solutions based off, let's say, the missing pieces of the puzzle. So if you, let's say, don't have an established platform, let's say with all your knowledge based articles, all of your incident data, anything like that. And let's say your incident data is rubbish. It's all about filling in the gaps on, why, okay, here's my AI agent. Where am I going to point it to actually get that information so it can learn from its mistakes? And I would probably say that was one of the more interesting projects that I've been on recently.
Yeah, it's the need of the hour also. Everybody is behind the AI agents, and that is what you're going to talk about in the next few minutes. Before we go into your talk, Andrew, people would love to know who Andrew Robinson is. where do he live, what he does in his personal life, because professionally we know you over LinkedIn, right? So how's your personal life and how you are able to sustain such a fast moving product, family, friends, social life? What's your mantra? What works for you to do a work life balance, if I would say?
I do try not let it overwhelm my life, to be honest with you. So, I mean, yeah, I am from Manchester in the UK. It probably rains more here than probably anywhere in the world. I think we have our summertime normally consists of about 3 days, so that's always good. However, yeah, in my personal time, if I'm honest with you, I am a bit of a nerd. So I do all sorts. Like I mean, I have two kids, so a girl and a boy. So if I'm not chipping in on Fortnite or anything like that with my son, I'm sitting down and I am with my daughter, just doing girly stuff, having tea parties and everything like that. Um, I mean, in terms of fitting this in my personal time, what I do is I normally set aside around about an hour, potentially 2 hours. And because I have quite a passion for the system anyway, sometimes I will just simply, it'll get to the end of the day, I want to wind down, I'll boot up a laptop, I'll open up my personal developer instance, and I'll just have a tinker around and see what I can come up with. That's where, so what I'm quite well known for is the Pokedex within ServiceNow. If you don't know what a Pokedex is, essentially it's a library of Pokemon, and it's something that's quite prevalent within the actual anime series. So so essentially I went in there and I thought, right, I'm gonna have a tinker around with the service portal, I'm gonna see what I can do. And in the end, it turned out really, really well. So on my personal developer instance, you can type in the name of the Pokemon, it'll come up with the image. And then to accelerate that even further, I then decided to do an integration with Google Gemini. So instead of having to update it all manually, I just put in a scheduled job, and then it's just populated all of the Pokemon data in there. And it's just one thing after it's just sort of like one thing after another, where it can continuously evolve. So I love doing stuff like that where you can integrate everything, the solution happens, and when it actually connects and it works, you get that little thrill in the end.
Yeah, I see Harry smiling when it comes to anime, so I will love to know his experience as well. Seems like he has also the interest around that, right? Uh, I
Well,
think
Yep.
it's very
Yes, I
right.
remember seeing Andrew's Pokemon application, and I just gave me a little laugh because I remembered, oh, I've seen that before. So good stuff.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know. I think it's very important to balance the life, right? You need to give equal time to your family as well. So all is trying to manage. So Andrew, one last question before we get into your session. It's coming from the people in the chat, right? So two questions basically. One is that I am new to learning AI agents or generative AI in ServiceNow. Can you recommend how I can upskill myself on that? And the second thing is that I don't have any ServiceNow background, but I want to start my journey into ServiceNow. So what are your tips on that, Andrew?
Oh, so when I originally started around 10 years ago, I would say that there weren't as many modules as they are now. However, I would probably say if you were looking to break into sort of like the ServiceNow ecosystem, there's lots of free courses on the ServiceNow University where you can go in. I can definitely recommend one called ServiceNow Foundations. And from there, it essentially starts you from the very bottom and then leads you to overall sort of like administration. And then when you're happy with that, you can then move on to advanced administration. And then if you feel confident, go for your ServiceNow administration certification. And that's essentially your first foothold within ServiceNow, within the ServiceNow ecosystem and development cycle. And then from there, you can move on to be developer, architect. The world's the limit after that. The sky's the limit. And then in terms of AI agents, right now, my typical journey into learning AI agents was a bit of a trial by fire, and that's kind of like who I am. I can read documentation all day, but until I actually get into it, I don't actually, not that I don't actually know. I suppose I have a better understanding. However, one thing that really did help is so ServiceNow have a course on the university, which essentially goes into how AI agents are put together. But another one as well, which is great, is if you look at AI Essentials, there's lots of free courses out there. I know Google do one. That really helps as well. And it's all about really just understanding that an AI agent isn't magic. It's not just going to automatically understand what you know straight off the bat. For example, you could say, go in there and create me knowledge-based articles. Well, you want me to create your knowledge-based articles. What do you want in them? How do you want them? What do you want the tone to be? What do you want the sentiment to be? So it's all about breaking that down into let's say different segments and different steps. So, and when you go on to the Google AI Essentials, it covers all that within there. So I would definitely say that. And again, best thing, it's free.
Yeah, agree. And those who have doubts that can you start your journey into ServiceNow or not? So I think if Andrew can do it and many others can do it, you can also do it, right? Just just keep thriving for it, I would say, right? So with that note, Andrew, I would like to make you a host. You can share your screen and let's talk and let's see what AI agents are doing in our life as of now. So I am
Yeah.
making you the host as of now. You are the host now.
Okay. I'm just going to end the conference. I'm only joking. 1 second. One second. I'm just trying to share my screen, but I am not getting anywhere.
Are you able to see the share option?
I'm seeing the share option, but for some reason it's saying that I can't do it, unfortunately. I don't know whether you can share it on yours and then I can just walk people through it.
Give me one moment then. Let me bring it up. Can you make me the host back then in that case?
1 second. There you go.
Okay, it will take me 1 minute to bring up your PPT. Give me a moment. All right, till then, anybody in the group would like to introduce yourself? From where you are, what you do in your life, anything exciting? I think there are a lot of questions around certifications. So we have the lot of certifications in the house today. Harry, well, we'll speak in the next session about that. All right, I got the PPT. I'm just bringing that up. All right. Apologies for the wait, guys. From next time, I'll make sure I have the logistics ready with me. Okay, I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yep.
All right, go ahead, Andrew. I will help you navigate here.
So what I would like to present today is a presentation on the AI agents, hype, hope, and hard truths. So essentially what it's about is what the common pitfalls are, the gotchas, and essentially what people's expectations are versus realities. You just want to move on to the next slide. Now, we're probably all familiar with this. So at some point, we've all, our senior leadership have come to us and said, we want AI. What exactly do we want it for? We have no idea, but we just want AI, because a lot of companies, believe it or not, don't want to get left behind in this AI revolution, which is currently going on at the moment. However, when it comes down to the nooks and crannies of it, there's quite a fair bit to actually unpack. If you want me to move on to the next slide. Okay. Now, in terms of AI agents, I just can't emphasize enough that it's not magic. So you can't just expect an agent to know. You need to be explicit with what you're trying to say, what you're trying to get it to do. So you need to define your goals, set boundaries, what your success criteria are, and what your failure paths are. So when I say define goals, I mean, what do you want it to do? Like what does good look like? What your boundaries are, where you want it to stop. And your success criteria is what would you expect to happen in the end, and what would you say would be a successful outcome of that AI agent. And what your failure path is, for example, if it falls over or doesn't work, what do you sorry, I've got a cat on my shoulder. Failure pattern, if you don't want it to if it's not working, what are you going to do in order to fix it? Like, do you have any fallbacks on it? So AI works best when there's clarity. So when I say clarity, it works best with the black and white. It does make good decisions. However, it's only as good as the information that you provide to it. If you go on to the next slide. Pitfall is overloading the agent with responsibilities. So best way I can say this is, if you have one AI agent and you're asking it to do 1 million jobs, then it can get complacent, it can get confused, just like anybody, because you wouldn't ask one person to do the job of 5. It's just not realistic. So you need to break the responsibilities down to smaller focused agents, or steps, to make it easier to debug or work through, and also get these agents to share their expertise with one another and get them to work in tandem. Next slide. One thing that does stand out is poor prompt and instruction design. This does sort of like link back to what I said near the beginning. So your prompts are essentially the nuts and bolts of AI agents. So your instructions need to be clear, with clear inputs and clear outputs. So if let's say you write in your AI agent, you would say, right, you are a major incident manager, and then that AI agent will think as a MIM. You need to give clear inputs. So, for example, where do you want the information to come from? You can't say, oh, get it from the incident table. And so the AI agent will come back and say, well, where's the incident table? And then in terms of outputs, you'll say, right, I want you to write to the incident table. I still don't know where the incident table is. So it's all about making sure that it has all the information at its disposal. Next slide. With AI agents as well, as much as, they do think in black and white, you need to essentially add in guardrails and constraints. So if you are writing, if let's say you write in some prompts, you need to let it know where you want it to stop. So add the constraints to say something along the lines of, when you are updating an incident, if let's say you can't find this information, stop. And if let's say you are looking at, and again, another incident, and let's say you say, right, is the CMDB item X? Great. Now you can continue to the next stage. And essentially, it's all about giving it the correct instruction. So there is more to it than just saying, right, I want you to create me an incident, or I want you to manage this major incident. Essentially, guardrails don't limit the AI. It just makes it a bit more reliable and helps with its decision making. Next slide. Now, there is an age-old statement called garbage in, garbage out. So you can't ignore your data quality. So when it comes down to information within your own system, the AI is only as good as the quality that is coming out. So if, let's say, your instance is, your knowledge base isn't up to date, your knowledge base isn't up to date, your CMDB isn't up to date, you're not keeping on top of things, the AI agent's going to go in, have a look at all that and say, right, I am going to make this decision based off this information. And then and then people wonder why it doesn't work. Because, what you're essentially giving it outdated data. It's essentially with anybody. If, let's say, you hired a new person to start at your organization, let's say, you ordered, you hired Dave and said, right, I want you to do this job for me. Okay, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. A week later, you go back and you say, Dave, why haven't you done this job? You're doing it all wrong. Well, I'm just going off the information you're giving us. Okay, here's the correct information. Then you go back a week later. Yeah, you're still not performing correctly. Well, I'm just going off, this information you gave me last week. Yeah, sorry. I meant to point you in that direction. And then over 3 weeks roll around, and then you think, I'm not getting a return on my investment here with Dave. And in reality, it's not because you're not getting a return on your investment. It's because essentially your foundational data just isn't up to date, or it's just not correct. So it's all about making sure that from a foundational level, your platform is, I wouldn't say perfect, because I don't really think that perfect's like I don't really think perfect is, I don't think many people's instances are perfect. Sorry. However, as sort of like up to date as possible. Next slide. Right. Don't skip testing and iteration. I would probably say that you need to test with edge cases, review the outputs, and you need to do that as often as possible. The thing is, an agent, believe it or not, even though some people think that it's just another application, it is a living thing. It's a constantly evolving language model. So the more that you feed into it, the more intelligent that it will get. And as you go along, it will evolve with your organization. Another thing that we did pick up on the other day, and again, I'm always learning as well, is that you can test it to the limits in your dev and test environment, but until that agent goes live, you won't actually know. Well, you will know the rough outcome, but there will always be gotchas that will pop up. Next slide. Right. In terms of no human oversight strategy, you need to add a limit in there to say when humans should intervene. So as an example, I wouldn't say just leave AI agents to it. So something that we did is that, as reliable as some of these agents are, they can fall over, they can stop working. So we utilized other features such as Flow Designer to actually look at the AI agent table. So if, let's say, it did fail, it creates a ticket to actually make us aware of it. So that way an incident isn't just sat there, in the ether doing nothing. So it's always good to have have that oversight in place. So if anything does go wrong, you can nip it in the bud. And that way, you don't get any flack from, let's say, your senior leadership team to say, well, this AI agent ran and this ticket's just been sat there for weeks. Next slide. However, in summary, so most AI agent failures aren't moral problems. They are generally design problems. Thoughtful configuration essentially beats the latest model every time. So your personal large language, put my teeth back in, your personal large language model, whether it be Google Gemini, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Claude, if you ask it to describe a house, it will give you its interpretation of a house and it will fill in the gaps. However, with enterprise grade AI, If you ask the same question, it'll ask you to define, for example, what type of house, how many windows, what color doors, garden size, roof type. So essentially, it's all about breaking it down into steps for it to actually understand. Next slide. Any questions?
Anybody in the house? Do you have any questions for Andrew?
I think it might be a little bit early on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, it's almost afternoon in India. Harry has something to share.
Yeah, great presentation, Andrew. A quick question in terms
Yeah.
of, I guess, data or output. I've often noticed that sometimes AI is kind of like a black box, and you repeat the same prompt or the same action twice, you might get slightly different results. What are some strategies that can help counter that or help reduce the variance in output?
So within the AI agents, you can also turn on learning as well. So, for example, if it had a successful run, it will then refer back to its memory and then get that experience back and then know what to do. Another one as well is essentially just to write it into the prompting. So if you put a guard, like what I said in my presentation before, if you put a guardrail in and say, do not deviate from your task and give me, let's say, different results, that usually does the trick. But it's like when you, if let's say, you go abroad or you go to another country and you don't speak the language and you speak louder, thinking that they're going to understand you, even though it's a completely different language. What we found is that if we put in capital letters something really important within the AI agent, the AI agent usually takes note.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. There's one more question out there. If you can explain a use case, one or two use cases that you have implemented, which can help people thinking about what is possible on the AI agents in ServiceNow and how they could design it by the knowledge that you have shared now.
Oh my God, we've had a couple of use cases. So the way that we did our ServiceNow triage agent is that just to give you a bit of insight into how it works. So the AI agents really have aligned with the ServiceNow strategy with the one-to-many relationships. So, for example, you'll have your overall orchestrator, and then below that orchestrator, you'll have your agent. So essentially, think of your orchestrator as the manager of those agents. So we have a triage agent, and within that triage agent, we have 5 agents. So we have one that looks for information, one that reviews documents, one that assigns tickets, one that deflects tickets, and another one that asks for more information. So what is, for example, what is possible? So a really good one is a deflection. So with the deflection agent, I'm not going to lie to you, we didn't have an up-to-date knowledge base. So what we had to do is to write the instructions within, let's say, assignment groups, or let's say different parts of the platform. So what the AI agent will do is it will go away, see whether it's an incident. Then if it's not an incident, say it's a request. So let's say somebody logs an incident, say I need access to Power BI. The AI agent will say, hold on, this doesn't fit with the ITIL incident process. It's going to be a request. And then it will look through the catalog, the service catalog, look for an applicable catalog item, go back, resolve the ticket, and say, right, I'm sorry, this isn't an incident, this is a request. You might want to log this. And then it will paste a URL to that catalog item in the actual incident itself to say, right, I resolved it. I've given the caller, a catalog URL. Another one as well, which is a really good use case, is the document intelligence AI agent. Now that is an absolute game changer. Now I'm not gonna lie, I didn't build that. However, there is some configuration that you need to make to it out of the box. But with that, when an attachment is on an incident or a record, just in general, the AI agent will get it, forward it onto Document Intelligence, retrieve the description, and then paste it within the incident and say, so if let's go back to the house analogy again. Let's say you inserted an image of a house. Document Intelligence will look at it, say, right, this is a red house with 5 windows and whatever, and it'll paste it in the chat, and then it will use it within its decision making. If you're looking to do any kind of AI agents within, let's say, within tickets that rely on the information, I would definitely say use that agent when you're doing it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Andrew.
But there's quite a lot. Oh, sorry, I was going to say there's quite a lot of use cases. So I've heard of people setting up AI agents to do major incident management for them.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that it'll do is it'll look at the configuration items, see whether any previous major incidents have happened in the past, and then essentially it'll promote it to a MIM. So it'll promote it to a major incident, and then essentially make the major incident managers aware of it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Andrew, for sharing this information. In the interest of time, we will take a last question out here, and then we move on. So you mentioned that regarding the LLM, we generally go with the OpenAI or Gemini or other things, right? But when you say the enterprise AI works better, can you suggest few enterprise AI which can we leverage? Also, if you could please suggest what best AI LLM model we should use for ServiceNow, or it depends from use case to use case?
It really depends on use case to use case. So, for example, I mean, if you're looking to use agentic AI, you can use ServiceNow's AI agents. However, ServiceNow also has an LLM built in, which is Now Assist. So, I mean, it is good. Don't get me wrong, and it is tailored around let's say the ServiceNow data model. However, there are other AIs available that you can integrate into it. I think it really depends, as you said, use case to use case.
All right, sure. So with that done, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end to our first keynote. Thank you so much, Andrew, for spending your time and for such a great insights. And we'll make sure we keep all this knowledge with us when we are designing our next AI agent for sure.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I wish you a great weekend out there.
No, thank you for having me.
All right. With that done, ladies and gentlemen, let's move to our next session. And it's time to welcome our next keynote speaker. Just give me a moment. Hope you're able to see my screen. Are you able to see my screen? Can you click for me, please?
Yep, I can see your screen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was just a 50% of today's meetup. Our next keynote speaker, I would like to welcome Harry Hatanto. He a ServiceNow certified technical architect with over 6 years of experience on the platform. He holds the complete set of ServiceNow mainline certification, showcasing his passion and deep expertise across the ecosystem. Currently serving as a platform pre-sales architect at Tensanga Technologies. What makes Harry Hatanto exceptional? CTA certified, deep expertise in architecture, 2 times winner of ServiceNow Hackathon at Knowledge, proving his innovation at global stage. ServiceNow runs in the family. I would like to know more about this when we talk more. I think his brother and mother are also fully certified ServiceNow technical architects. I can go long and long and long, but more than I speak, I would like to know from Harry. Hey, how are you? And thank you so much for joining in.
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's midnight right now, or 12:39 here in Canada, so I'm calling in, but lots of fun and definitely worth the the late night Zoom call for sure.
Thank you so much, Mitt, for being awake. It really means a lot, right? And around 60 plus people are watching you right now, and that's great. First question, Harry. Okay, what brings entire family in love with ServiceNow?
Well, just the capabilities that ServiceNow has, it's not, it makes it makes work a lot easier. The automation, and its capability to do, it's not really just a ticketing platform. It's really used throughout the entire enterprise. So for me, and I think the entire family, we just love ServiceNow for its capabilities and what you can do in the future as well.
So how's the daily environment in the house? Like you guys keep talking service now, your problems, your solutions, or how's it?
Oh, it's a very busy household for sure. We there's lots of meetings that going on every single day, but I think one thing that we like to do is gather around the dinner table and just really talk service now sometimes, right? It's more, hey, what did you learn today? What did you experience? Cool tip that I found, you know, th- something similar of that nature. So we do have a lot of conversations around that dinner table, and I think it's a dedicated time for us to discuss service now and the learning that we did that day.
So Harry, we would like to know more from where you come, where was your upbringing, your school, your college, and how did you get into IT, then service now? And I think you are in last 6 years having so much of personal achievements out there. So how was this journey all about, Harry?
Yeah, so for me myself, I was actually born in Jakarta, Indonesia. So for me, I moved around, so to like Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, and then finally we landed in Canada. In terms of my ServiceNow journey, I actually started pretty young. So back in high school, it's a very funny story, but me and my brother, we were playing Pokemon Go, and we got kind of grounded for staying up too late, and just so happens that my mother was taking her ServiceNow training the next day. So, guess when we were grounded, guess what we did? We sat around in the training, and that's how we were introduced to ServiceNow. And when we actually sat there with our mom, we found, hey, that's super cool. Like the fact that you don't have to do things manually, the fact that you can automate a lot of your processes and save so much time. I think that really what got us into the ServiceNow industry.
That's great to know. I will remember this for my entire life, and that's very interesting to know as well, right? So, Harry, you have been known into community for your technical solutions, your technical knowledge, your certifications achievement, right? So, if you have to give some advice to our enthusiasts out here that how they can escalate their ServiceNow learning journey, and what is one thing which went good for you, and what is one thing which you feel that an advice that people should not repeat the mistake that you did in your recent learning journey?
Yeah, I think my one advice I can give to anyone is to never stop learning because, especially in the ServiceNow platform, the platform will not wait for you. Like, if look at ServiceNow today versus a few years ago, right? The modules, they're almost unrecognizable. We went from back in the days UI 16 forms and basic workflows to today, where you have workspaces, App Engine Studio, Flow Designer, and now, just like Andrew was talking about, AI agents, which build entire applications from prompt. So the skills that made someone an expert 5 years ago are kind of not well, they're relevant, but it's not as sharp as as the skills that you would need for today. So for me, whatever your role is, whether you're an admin, a developer, an architect, or even just like a business leader that's using ServiceNow, I would block real time every release cycle, every upgrade to learn what's new. Take the Delta exams, spin up a PDI again, and then break things within that PDI. So, in my opinion, the professionals who really thrive on the platform, they don't just master something once, they keep remastering it every single release, every single upgrade. So, that's really the advice. And I think earlier in my career, I thought, hey, I learned ITSM. I'm all good for for the rest of my life. No, that's ServiceNow's ITSM module has evolved so rapidly over the past couple of years. So that's my one advice, and yeah, I'll pass it back off to you.
Totally agree with you. Every morning you wake up, there is something new in ServiceNow to learn, right? So you cannot say that
Yes.
I will learn 10 things and okay, next 2 years I'm going to just sit on this. No, you're going to get absolute quite quickly. So, Harry, I got to know you won the generative AI category at a ServiceNow hackathon. So, what was the idea behind the solution? How was your experience about this innovation? What made you won that?
Yeah, so the first year I did the hackathon, we created a solution called Vital Assist. And the way it works is it's meant to be an add-on to ServiceNow's workplace health and safety incident management application. And we use Gen AI, so we connected to OpenAI to provide quick first aid guidance the moment a workplace injury happens. So the idea came from a simple observation that workplace injuries are costly, they're disruptive, and in those first few minutes, employees don't often know what they're going to do while waiting for help. So we push fast, accessible medical guidance right where the incident gets reported, and I think for me, the biggest lesson was that the best innovation starts with a genuine pain point. You don't start off with the technology first. I don't think solutions should ever be technology first. It should be problem first, right? You should be trying to resolve a problem. And the technology, in this case, the AI, was just so happens to be the right tool for it. And I think it proved that a working demo solving something that people care about always beats a perfect architecture diagram.
That's great, Harry. Congratulations, and I hope you keep winning more and more, bringing those innovation ideas on the table. I see somebody from your family has also joined, Hendro Hetanto. Would you like to introduce
Yes,
them?
that's my dad. So yes, he, despite it being midnight, he decides to stay on and watch me go through this one.
This is so amazing. He must be a proud dad out here. Welcome, Hendro. Really love that. If the family supports in such a way, the kids are going to do wonders for sure. All right. This is amazing. This is amazing stuff, right? So, Harry, making you host as of now. Let's see how the build agents works and what we should learn and what is on our way when it comes to being build agent. So build agent 101,
Awesome.
Harry Hutchinson, ladies and gentlemen, on your screen. So you're the host right now. There's a share button in the middle which you can use to share your screen.
Okay, let
Amazing. We
me.
have it.
Can you see a PowerPoint?
Yeah, I can see that. Go ahead, mate.
Okay, awesome. Oops, let me go back. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, yeah, so the topic for today's discussion is going to be build agent, as Gagan has indicated. So, what I kind of want to start off with is kind of explain what's going on. Well, I guess I'll give a brief summary of build agent. Build agent helps you build a ServiceNow app that used to take weeks or even months of specialized development. And I think now it can start with a simple conversation. So I think if you want to call this ServiceNow Zone enterprise vibe coding, that's really how I would see what build agent is. So I guess I'll show you guys what this looks like in practice with a demo later on as well. Um, Let me go here. Yeah. Okay. So quick agenda for today's presentation. Give me a second. Yeah. So oops. Sorry, one second. Yeah, so I'll be covering about what Build Agent is, the core features that you can find within Build Agent. Afterwards, from a developer experience, how can you actually use Build Agent? So that's another part that I'm going to be covering. Fourth, we'll talk about the ecosystem, what it interacts with, the external applications it can interact with. And then finally, I'll end things off with, providing a real example and talking a bit about licensing. So, what is Build Agent? Build Agent, in its definition, is an autonomous AI agent native to the ServiceNow AI platform that designs, builds, and deploys production-ready applications from natural language prompts. So basically, you describe the outcome, and the agent handles the how, the data model, the business logic, the UI, and the tests. It is powered by Anthropic models, but I'm pretty sure you can change the what's called the LLM provider, and Anthropic is pretty cool though because it can enable long context sessions. And then really the benefit, like I mentioned before, is the time to value. It drops from weeks and months all to minutes within a conversation. So in terms of how it works, a chat layer sits directly. Yeah, so we have four stages. We have a prompt, and the prompt is a chat layer that directly sits directly on top of the ServiceNow Studio and the IDE, so you can describe the app that you want to build in plain language. The second pillar is the generate. So that's when the agent actually goes through the database, applies the business rules, sets ACLs and roles, and build the UI, like the actual configurations. That's the generate part. The self-test is the generate code that the build agent goes through. It goes through automated test frameworks. You might know them as ATFs. So if something breaks, the agent, they find the cause, fixes it, and retests it on its own. And ServiceNow calls this the self-healing test loop. And finally, deploy. This is more theoretical, but supposedly what comes out is a production-ready application running natively on the platform. Um, in practice, it's a little bit different because I would always still recommend you, like an actual developer or an architect, go through the configurations, do some testing as well, and not completely trust build agent. But again, that's in practice. In theory, it's supposed to be production ready. Um, Next slide. So core features, the yeah, so the core features, the build agent covers the full stack in one session. So the data model, the business rule, the workflow automation, access control lists, the roles, UI pages, components, integrations, and all that sort of stuff, and the testing as well. So one conversation replaces what used to be, separately creating the tables, separating, creating the business rule. It gets all of it done within that one prompt. Now, when it comes to the developer experience, I think there's four features that makes it really practical for real life scenarios. So the first would be context upload. So if you don't want to use a prompt, if you don't want to have to type in a paragraph or an essay to specify what you already have, maybe you might have a PDF, a Word file, an Excel file. Maybe you might even have some code files or your requirement docs. You can kind of feed all of that information. So non-string values, you can feed it and upload it within the build agent, and that can go straight into the conversation. There's also update set checkpoints. So any configuration, any change will get captured in an update set. So you can open that in one click from the chat panel, and you know what has changed. UI validation. So there's a built-in tool which checks the interface output during creation right in the studio. And then finally, there's MCP connectors. So it's going to connect to third-party applications such as Figma, GitHub, Miro, Atlassian, DocuSign, Zoom, and a lot more. So how this helps day-to-day developers is that the requirements, designs, and specs flow into the build instead of having to be retyped into prompts. Now, next part is talking about Fluent. So, two things really make the output trustworthy, in my opinion. Maybe not as fast, but somewhat trustworthy. So the code is generated in Fluent, a TypeScript-based framework that's purpose-built for modern ServiceNow architecture. And then it also has compile time error checking, which catches the bugs before deployment, and every change is reviewable and version controlled, just like real code. And then there's also the self-healing loop that I mentioned earlier, which means that the output is always going to be validated against quality checks before it's considered done. So what ships stays reliable and maintainable over time. Build from anywhere. So at Knowledge 2026, ServiceNow made the build agent generally available in the ServiceNow Studio, but it also extended its core skills into third-party applications. So you'll see things like Cursor, Windsurf, Claude, GitHub Copilot, a lot of popular applications that you can use build agent with. And practically, developers can build from the environment that they already use with full platform context following them there. If you don't want to do it directly in ServiceNow, you could always use it through different applications. So Next, we have the example. So, a real example from the developer community. Someone put in one prompt, which was create a storeroom asset tracking application. It should show all storerooms, how many items are in each, items that are low in stock, and any other features that you can think of. And what ended up happening was that it produced a working app with storeroom views, inventory counts, low stock alerts, plus features that the build agent actually suggested that the user didn't actually suggest it themselves. So some tips when it comes to creating prompts: be specific about the entities that you want to involve, describe the outcomes rather than the implementation, and then also ask the agent to suggest what you missed or how you can improve and iterate. And then finally, we have licensing and availability. So licensing is pretty simple, two options really. Option one is build agent trial. So that's a free application from the ServiceNow store with 100 free user interactions for 30 days. And it's free, so that's kind of your no cost evaluation path. The second part is having the Now Assist for Curator license. So, a lot of enterprises might have this. Some might, some might not. But if you do have it, Build Agent is included as part of the Now Assist for Creator license, with the usage limit based off of your licensing and consumed through the Now Assist model. So that's it. One of those two entitlements you can kind of use, and then really for more contract specifics, I would recommend talking to your ServiceNow account team or account rep. They would have more information in terms of that. But this is just more of a generic explanation of kind of how the licensing works for Build Agent. And then if you want to try with your own PDI, really three steps here. You can first, step one, grab a PDI on the ServiceNow developer website, and that will include 25 free calls a month. Step two is to open the ServiceNow IDE or ServiceNow Studio and activate the build agent skill. So because this is a now agent skill, you'll have to actually activate it first. And then three, you can start using the app. You can describe what you need to do and iterate until you're happy with the application. I would recommend for a first project, pick something which is more MVP related, so not a complete solution, but something that's more that's acceptable if you provide an MVP. Something that's more high volume. It could automate real hours and realistically small enough to finish within a session. Because if you're doing it in a PDI, there is a limit to what you can to the usage. So don't ask for the world, but build something cool that's kind of containerized and um, small enough that you don't run out of credits to finish the session. So with that being said, key takeaways. I would think there's four main key takeaways that I wanted to leave you with. So the first one is natural language to production ready app in minutes rather than weeks or months. Second is it's genuinely full stack with tests generated and self-verified in one session. The third point that it's connected through MCP and SDK skills in Cursor, Windsurf, Cloud Code, and Copilot. And then finally, there's two simple licensing paths: the free trial or Now Assist for Curator. And then my final slide is a shameless plug, but my brother, and my mother will be speaking on the AI Learning Days, which is a ServiceNow event. So we're speaking um, in the AMS kind of region. So that would be happening between August 4th, 10 to 10:30 MST. Really just goes a little bit more into kind of the situation that my family's been through and our journey into ServiceNow. So, with that being said, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and I want to actually show the demo. Let me try to set that up though because it's a bit too set up. So give me a second.
No worries, Harry. That's amazing. I think once you are done with your demo, we'll have some few questions around it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions around Build Agent, feel free to put in the chat window, and we'd love to answer that.
Give me a couple more seconds.
No worries, Harry. It happens.
Okay, let me reshare and go from there. So just before we discuss this, I am using a my company demo instance. So we are a partner. So this is kind of how we're doing it. It's easier to show this way because sometimes the BDIs can be unreliable. So just a disclaimer there. We are using my the partner demo instance here, but I want to show how to actually install the build agent. So basically, all you have to do is go to the Now Assist admin. Now, when you're in the Now Assist admin, all you can go to the home page, but then you want to hop over to Now Assist skills. So when you go to Now Assist skills, it'll give you a list of all the different modules that Now Assist is applicable for. Specifically for Build Agent, you're going to want to go to the Creator. So when you go to Creator, oh, I'm not sure why it's not showing up. 1 second. Okay, maybe I'll just have to reload this page. I have to refresh. Let's see if I can refresh. Okay, while I try to figure that out, basically what's going to happen is you're going to have to install the Now Assist for Creator plugin. So you would have to, there's an actual plugin that you can go to do that. Let me go to plugins, and then you would just have to type Now Assist for Creator. Now, I actually have it installed. Not sure why it doesn't show up again. Oh, maybe it's there. Yes, Now Assist for Creator. And this will enable you to, oh, something's going on. Now Assist for Creator. Um, yeah, that will enable you to start using the build agent. And then after you installed the plugin, you just have to go back to your Now Assist admin, go through the list of skills, and then you can go back to the creator. And hopefully it works this time. No, it doesn't. There would be a skill, and all you have to do is just click activate. So it literally just takes 10 seconds, and then you're able to use the build agent. So you'll notice that there's going to be a lot of features. Okay, it's gonna yeah, it'll look similar to this basically. So you'll be able to see it through the filter and the different categories. But there's gonna be a lot of plugins, sorry, skills related to the creator. There's only two that's related to build agents, so just activate the two of them. If this works again, I'll go back to it, but I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen so I can share my other screen and actually show you what the build agent looks like. So please be a bit patient while I take a look. Okay, let me reshare my screen again. So when you go to the ServiceNow Studio, you just have to type in ServiceNow Studio and you can go into it. This is the screen that you'll be seeing. Let me go ahead and yeah. And then on the right side here, you have the build agent. So it's kind of like it's kind of like a sidebar chat that you have on the panel here. But essentially, all you have to do is go ahead and just tell the build agent what it is that you want. So if you go over to, um, let's say I want to do this. Let's say I want to create a new application, call it pre-sales request. It should have um, a a record producer to serve as the uh, front end. I want to have dashboards, reporting, and notifications set up. So it's going to go ahead and start loading, and it'll basically come up with a plan on how they're going to start creating the application. So it's going to say it's thinking, and this does take some time. It's not as fast as ChatGPT, unfortunately, because it is trying to think and all that sort of stuff. But this is basically the plan that they're trying to go to. So they want to start with creating a new application called pre-sales request. They're going to set up a record producer for users to submit the pre-sales request. They're going to create a table, dashboard, reporting, and email notifications. And they're going to tell you the different components that they're going to use. So please open a new conversation. I'll walk you through. I think if I type in go ahead and build, okay. It's because I was using okay, so open a new conversation. Okay, sorry. I was playing with the thing before. You need to actually select create or import an application. So this was a test that I was doing before. And if you select this, it will just update the existing application. So build agent can update existing applications or it can create a new application. So I'll retry that. Um, I want to create um, an application called pre-sales requests. It should capture the details to mobilize solution consultants to analyze a customer's ask. I want a dashboard, reports, and notifications as well. Now, fingers crossed this time it should work. And as you can see right now, the model it's using is Claude. So I believe you can use multiple LLM providers, but the default is Claude. And you don't need any Claude subscription or anything like that. ServiceNow takes care of the subscription on their side. So you just have to use ServiceNow to do it. Now, this is what I wanted to show. So this is going to be the step-by-step the step order that ServiceNow is the build agent's going to follow. So it's first going to create the application, analyze the requirements, then it's going to design and implement the core data model, and then build the workflows with the business rules, notifications, and assignment logic, and then create a dashboard and the reportings as well. So it's going to tell you what the plan is, and then it's going to ask for is this okay? Do you want to make any edits, or do you want to go ahead and proceed? I said, this looks good. Proceed. Like I said before, because this is a application that's trying to build, it's not going to be as fast as when you type something up in ChatGPT. So it is going to take some time, but this is usually the part where you leave your desk and make yourself some coffee, and then by the time you come back, it's already done.
A few questions in the chat, Harry. I think would like to talk about that in parallel, right? So
Yeah, for
there's one
sure.
question that we have created an AI agent and tested it successfully in the AI agent studio. The question is that how do we expose that AI agent to the end users? So how do we make it involve from service portal or catalog item or from a service now form? Would you like to answer that?
Yeah, so build agent, the way it works is anything that you can develop within ServiceNow, the build agent can do the same thing. So when it comes to like catalog items, when it comes to service portal, um, that can, if you need to create a catalog item or even create your own portal, ServiceNow is able to do that. Hold off on that. Just yeah, and then right now, what's happening is it's gonna make sure that hey, can we go ahead and create this new pre-sales? You can reject it if what it says is not good. Otherwise, you can go ahead and approve, and I'll just click approve and you can see over here that there's an output. So it's creating an application name called pre-sales request. And then there's the backend name of the application. And then it's going to see a bunch of different things. And sometimes it fails. And when it fails, it's going to try it and go ahead and do something similar. So right now it's saying, let me try with a simple application name. So it's going to try to suggest, it was pre-sales request. Now they're going to say, okay, it's not good. Can you try pre-sales app? And you can go ahead and approve. So when I was mentioning some of the testing and the iterative feedback, Build Agent's really cool because it can do that. It can see where it messed up and it can ask for an alternative. And then I can go ahead and reject, and then I'll do something really simple just for the sake of this demo. I can say, let's call it pre-sales. Let's call the application pre-sales. Pre-sales. So yeah, okay, that name is good. So I'm gonna go ahead and approve. And then now it's going to go into its work. The output's kind of where you want to take a look at. If there's any problems, that's where you have the problem tab over here. But in general, you want to keep an eye on the output, and this is what's actually doing on the back end to create the stuff for you. Yeah, going back to the question, again, for this pre-sales request, I requested a catalog item. So I'm requesting catalog item, I'm creating tables, I'm creating reports. That can all be done within Build Agent. So hopefully that answers the question.
Can we create a UI builder page using build agent? Is the question also.
Yeah, you could. Build UI Builder is a little bit more difficult, so I would put especially a second pair of eyes on UI Builder just because of the nature of UI Builder. But in theory, you could create workspaces and different pages, basically.
As you're part of an organization, also in a leadership role, Harry, how do you see ServiceNow developers and leaders escalate the use of this AI agent adoption in our client environments in a more standardized and a compliant way?
Yeah, I think it's very funny because as you can see, Build Agent doesn't always get it right the first try, and I would never recommend you just create the app and then all right, it's ready for production, right? It would never a scenario where you should be doing that. I would treat build agent kind of more like a junior developer that's sitting right beside you, and sometimes you're too lazy to create the table, or it's a lot of work to create a simple catalog item. You get them to do it, and where you'll find a lot of value, I think, in terms of how the role of a developer works in ServiceNow is the you know just because you know JavaScript doesn't mean that you can necessarily work as a ServiceNow developer. It helps, but that's not what the job is about. And I think the knowledge of the platform, the knowledge of the best practices that you accumulate over your experience, is what is going to it's what's going to make your build agent work really well with you.
Next.
Yeah, and again, like you see, it's just lots of lots of errors that's happening, and it's trying to fix its own errors. So this is going to again take a little bit more time, but this is the step of build agent, and I think it's really good because previous vibe coding doesn't necessarily it gets stuck, right? But it's very rare to see that a agent can recognize that it made a mistake and go back and try to fix it again. So there's again that iterative loop, and it gets smarter and smarter every time you use it. So with give it a couple more minutes, and I think we'll have the application ready. But right now, I can see that the table's been created and a bunch of different stuff has happened already on this. So again, this is going to be an application, so you can definitely push it as an update set. But within the application repository, you can also move it to UAT and other higher environments that way as well. Any other questions while
So
we're
one more
waiting for?
question, that can we build integrations to the build agent?
Yes, you can build integrations with Build Agent. Um, I think the connection part might be difficult. You might have to do that manually because you'll setting up the connection and the credentials might have to be something that might be difficult. But honestly, that part when it comes to development is pretty easy. The difficult part is the mapping. Once I get the data, what do I do with it? Um, that can be covered with Build Agent for sure. So not 100%, but a good chunk of it can assist you.
I think anyhow this product is also still evolving, right? Build agent from ServiceNow side as well. So I think in the upcoming
Yeah.
release, we'll see more and more clarity on this.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I think it's really been announced by ServiceNow. I think it's been around longer, but ServiceNow really started sending the message out at Knowledge 26, and that's the first time I used the Build Agent. So it's only been a couple months since then, and I think that ServiceNow is definitely going to try to make improvements in terms of the accuracy and the different applications that you can run the Build Agent with. So for sure, it's something that I'm personally keeping in my eyes out because I think there's a lot of potential with the Build Agent, and I think it's just going to improve in the future. So yeah. As you can see right now, it just created a bunch of different business rules as well, and it's I think it should be pretty close to close to completion. I think if it doesn't finish within the next few minutes, I'll give it the screen back to you, Gagan, because I don't want to force everyone to go through this, but it does take some time.
I think
But
that's
it's
in
a
our
lot
PDE
faster
also,
than.
so we can try it on our own. I think thank you so much for setting the context out there in terms of what it is,
Yeah,
how it works, right? And maybe in the next time when we meet, you can show a pre-built application or something or more features around it. And I think one thing more, Harry, is to understand, I think, how it is spinning up everything on the instance, right? That is also one thing I think we'll have to understand more in detail next time when we meet for sure.
for sure. Okay, awesome. I'm gonna just leave this as right here because it's going to probably take some more time. So I'll stop sharing and I'll take on any other questions that might come
Sure.
this
Can
way.
you check with
So,
the host as well, Harry?
oh, actually, before I do, sorry, it did load properly. So now when I'm in creator, you can see that there's different skills in terms of the creator. I'll go back to the tile view, but essentially if I go to build agent over here, you can just activate or deactivate the skill. So there's two different types of skills that you should use. So the build agent and build agent preprocessor, and you can go ahead and just activate it. So similar, if I go to all features, you just have to turn on, and then once you turn on, click the turn on button, and then now it's active. So now you can start using a particular skill within ServiceNow, and you just need two for build agent. So good thing that showed up. Anyways, I'll stop sharing my screen. I'll pass it back off to you, Gagan.
Sure. Thanks a lot, mate. You can make me the host again, possible, please. You can take me to go to participants, click on three dots, and you can make me the host from there. Are you able to
And
find
my
the option?
apologies once again. The demo was working completely fine, but as you know with demos, as long as there's multiple people looking at it, something always goes wrong.
Yeah. That's
Or
always
it
about your
floats.
client
Yes.
presentations, right? Hardik, I will take your questions. Give me a moment. Uh, can you make me host again, Harry? Possible for you?
Um, how do I let
Go
me
to
figure out how to do that.
participants
Let
list,
me
find my name out there, and there are three dots where you can click and make me host.
awesome.
Thank you so much. So, Harry, there's one more question in the chat window. If you can read from Hardik, you are able to read that?
Let me take a look.
The latest question we have.
So I've developed skills which is being called or executed by the subflow. Then I'm fetching the data from the specific table. Now when I'm asking questions to the AI assist, AI assist multiple agents. One is out of the box and one is mine. How can I configure where I can see the relationship for same?
So I think he's using in use case multiple AI agents, right? And he's like where I can see the relationship, how the both are interacting and working is something question for me.
Yeah, that's a good question. That could be a question actually better for Andrew if he's still around. But I think with build agent, it's not its own.
Yeah.
It's not a AI agent that you create yourself. It's something that ServiceNow provides you. So I think it's not a question that's easily answerable on this call.
Yeah, I agree. So, Hardik, we'll take your question with Andre or somebody. I would like to answer you. So, in the interest of time, it's too late for Harry. And thank you so much, Harry, for being here with this today. It really means a lot to me and my audience out there. It added a lot of value, right? Thank you so much for preparing such a cool slides deck and a demo, of course. We'll go back our home, and this gives us confidence to try things on our own, right? So, Harry, lots of love from India. Thank you so much for being there late night. I hope you, your entire family, and Tasanga Technologies grow exponentially from here. And all the best wishes for you, mate.
Thank you so much. Love from Canada. Take
Yeah.
care. Bye.
See you soon. See you soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with this note, we come to an end or our ServiceNow virtual meetup number 22. If you're not connected with me as of now, you can scan this barcode or reach out to me. I would like to onboard you in my journey of learning and growing together. With that note, I wish you a great Sunday. Spend your time with your family. Have a great health and happiness in your life. And all the best for the next week coming ahead in front of you. See you soon. Thank you so much. Have a great Sunday.